everybody. Thanks for joining us. My name is Malika Abdul-Malik, and I am one of the dedicated public library account managers here at Mango. Today, I'm going to be joined by my colleagues, Cruz and Sabrina Richardson, and we're going to discuss some of the ways that your library can cross-promote resources, but specifically genealogy with Mango for an overall culturally enriched experience. We're going to go ahead and get started. And first, my colleague Cruz is going to kick us off by highlighting how to cross-promote your genealogy resources with Mango to increase your community's engagement overall. So over to you, Cruz.
Thank you, Malika. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Cruz, and today we're going to talk about how to cross-promote your genealogy resources with Mango to maximize your usage. But before we get started, I would like to just quickly highlight what Mango has to offer. So as you probably already know, we currently have over 70 world languages and more than 20 English courses, and they're all narrated by someone of that native mother tongue. And then we also have over 30 specialty courses for additional content. So in the past few years, since the pandemic started, libraries across the country have seen an increase in the usage of their library genealogy resources. And many genealogy databases such as Ancestry, Heritage Quest, and Find My Past have made it easier for everyone to access their genealogy data for free through the libraries, which has, this has generated a big interest in people who want to learn more about their family history. So since genealogy has become so popular, we think that this is a great opportunity for your library to cross-promote your genealogy resources with Mango because, learning a new language can be a great tool to incorporate with any genealogy resource that you have at the library. You're probably asking yourself, how can learning a new language help your patrons navigate through their genealogy journey? So the US, it's a big melting pot, and we all come from many different backgrounds. And sometimes when you're searching for your family history, we often come across documents that are written in a foreign language. So, things like marriage or birth certificates or census documents. So by learning, even just a few keywords in your ancestors' native language, you'll be able to read and understand some of those, foreign documents that you might come across, which it will make it easier for you to navigate through your research. And as you learn about your family, you might come across, a distant relative. So learning the native language of your ancestors can also help you connect with the distant relative who might speak a different language. So this is also, a great way to learn more about your family's culture and history. And for traveling purposes, if you ever get to visit your family's hometown, you will be able to communicate with the locals, and it will be easier for you to navigate and immerse yourself in that culture and then also the food. But most importantly, you will gain an overall life enrichment experience by learning the history, the culture, and the language of your ancestors, which I think is the most valuable part about learning a new language. So Mango can help you learn some of these basic words that can help you navigate through your genealogy research. So for these, we recommend our Unit 2, Chapter 8, which is our Relatives and Pets chapter. And this is a great place to learn, different names for family members, such as grandparents, brother, sister, uncle, aunt, siblings, cousin, son, daughter, and so much more in the target language that you're learning. However, this chapter is only available in our top 9 languages, which are Spanish, French, German, Italian, Chinese Mandarin, Portuguese Brazilian, Russian, and Arabic Levantine. And it's also available in Japanese under Chapter 9. So some of the things that you're going to learn in the Relatives and Pets chapter are things like, address family members and using kinship words, comment on pets, describe family and friends, talk about personality types, and understand questions or statements about family. Mango is also a great place to learn about culture. So here at Mango, we believe that culture is a huge part of learning a new language. And we think that if you don't understand the culture, you cannot communicate properly. So as you probably already know, we have cultural notes all throughout the program to help you understand the culture of the people who speak the language you're learning. These cultural and grammar notes, like the ones you see here, are just some of the notes that you're going to see throughout the Spanish relatives and pets chapter. So, you're going to see things like, the use of nicknames that is very common in many Latin American countries, or that is also very common in Latin America for extended family members to live together. And like I mentioned before, you're also going to see grammar notes throughout the program, which is a great way to learn more about the unique cultural language. And, we have an example here about how in Spanish, when you want to be polite and show respect, or you want to address a woman that you don't know, you can use the word señora, which, they're all really great things to learn about. So now you're probably wondering, how can I cross promote these resources? So we know that, your time at the library is very valuable, and sometimes it can be very hard to find the time to promote your electronic library resources, which is the reason why we created these flyers to help you cross promote your genealogy resources in Mango, and also to encourage your patrons to take advantage of Mango to learn the native language of their ancestors. So we wanted to create a fun activity for your patrons, and we designed this colorful Mango family tree to help you get them excited about starting their genealogy research. So the family tree flyer is printable, and it's also fillable. So you have the option to print physical copies and have them available at your library. Or you can also share it, as an attachment if you're having like a Zoom library program. So we also created a Mango and genealogy flyer to help you promote both resources. So this flyer can be customized, so you can add your library name and your specific Mango link. And then you can also add your genealogy resource name and the link of your genealogy resource, so your patrons, know how to get started. And both of these flyers are available in the Mango Market under the Library Social Communications and the Marketing Materials tab. So other things that I want to share with you, are just a few other ideas where you can cross-promote other electronic library resources with Mango. So for example, if your library has any international food or international recipes or world cultural resources, this is a great way to promote Mango, cross-promote with Mango. Any job development or career research, you can promote Mango with those resources as well. And a lot of libraries are starting to have U.S. citizenship resources or English, learning resources, which is sometimes part of going through the whole U.S. citizenship process. So this is a great place where you can promote Mango if your patrons need a little bit of help with their English. Any international films or traveler resources, that's always a great place to cross-promote Mango. So now that I talked a little bit about a few different ways that you can cross-promote your genealogy resources and other library resources with Mango, Malika here is going to share with us a few other unique ways you can cross-promote Mango with some delicious food. Over to you, Malika.
Awesome. Thank you, Cruz. So Cruz shared how patrons can get started researching their genealogy and kind of explore their cultural and language backgrounds through Mango. But now I'm going to touch on how to incorporate food into this cross promotion to essentially further highlight all the amazing resources that your library has to offer. Food is a universal language. Even if we can't communicate within the language itself, food and dining culture, it really connects us in a way that sometimes words just cannot. And by sharing food and spices and just kind of overall cuisine with someone else, it's a love language that's understood throughout the world. Speaking of throughout the world, so many people utilize open markets to acquire their food and spices. So places like India, Turkey, and several West African countries, just to name a few. These markets are really cultural hubs to the cuisine of that area, and they provide a lot of insight into the ingredients used in these cultural dishes. And with the US being such a melting pot, many of our own local communities here have large refugee and immigrant populations, which have resulted in a lot of different specialty cultural grocery stores and markets. All right, so how can we tie in the cookbooks, this idea of cultural enrichment with the Mango resource and the genealogy services that your library might have? Again, even if you don't host a genealogy resource at this time, utilizing your selection of cookbooks within the library is such a great way to connect your patrons with their culture or even just a culture of interest to them. And what are some of the ways that this could be done? So potentially partnering with a local restaurant could be a great way to create a special program within the library. You could have like vouchers or discounts inside these cookbooks, and they could kind of be like a hidden thing. It could be a known thing, however you guys, see fit. But essentially, if somebody checks out that cookbook, they maybe have, a voucher for 10% off, maybe a local Indian restaurant or Ethiopian restaurant, et cetera, et cetera. You guys could also highlight National Heritage Month with a cookbook display at the front of the library or just someplace within the library that makes sense. So highlighting like National Hispanic Heritage Month, Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, just to name a couple. Additionally, you could try doing a cultural recipe club. Patrons could meet monthly or quarterly to share recipes with each other, either from their own culture or cultures that they've been exploring and learning to cook dishes from on their own. And then I have a slide of some of the cookbooks that I thought looked really nice. So just an idea here, we're seeing, very colorful covers here, very specific. We've got Bangkok cuisine, Latin America, a Mexican kitchen specific, and then some traditional German dishes as well. All right, so while we're talking about food, I also want to touch on some dining etiquette around the world. It might be something that we don't really often think about, but it is also an important part of one's culture. So for example, if you ever find yourself traveling to Japan or in an authentic Japanese restaurant, it might be great to know that it's actually rude to pour your own drink in Japanese dining culture. It can actually be seen as greedy, narcissistic, or even antisocial. Now, we wouldn't necessarily be expected to dine like this here in the US at a Japanese restaurant, but I think it's a great thing to know, and just what a gesture towards respecting their culture you could make by doing something as simple as just pouring each other's drinks. Now, if you find yourself in France, you're going to want to avoid bringing wine to a dinner party. As home of what many consider great wine, it's actually considered rude to bring a bottle of wine to a French home. It's almost like it's a gesture that the host wouldn't have proper wine to serve. And with France priding themselves on being one of the great homes of wine, it would be considered rude to bring a bottle into a French home. Now, here in America, so often the saying is, if you're early, you're on time, and if you're on time, you're late. However, it's quite the opposite in Venezuela and many other Latin American countries. To be late is actually to be polite. It's considered greedy to show up on time. It's like you're too eager to receive what's at the party. So let's say the party's at 6, it would be proper for you to show up after 6. So 6:15, 6:30, but not before 6 and not at 6. Now, let's say you find yourself in the eastern part of the world, it would be good to know that in many Arab cultures, it's impolite to show the sole of your shoes. It's actually considered dirty and disrespectful. So think about how naturally we often put our leg over our knee and our shoe is kind of facing upwards, or at least, visible. That would be considered rude and disrespectful in their culture. On the opposite end, it's actually considered polite in many Eastern cultures to burp, specifically in Saudi Arabia and Turkey. This is a gesture that you've enjoyed yourself, the meal was good, you're full, you're satisfied. It's a compliment to the home. Now, if you find yourself in Egypt, it's going to be unlikely that you find salt on the table, but this is quite purposeful. And if you actually go asking for it, they might think that you're trying to insult their cooking by needing to add additional flavor. So it's not a coincidence. There's no salt and pepper shakers out. It's specific to their culture, and that would be considered rude if you went asking for some additional flavoring. All right, now let's focus in on where you can further take your intrigue with a particular culture and their food inside of the Mango resource itself. So here are just a handful of languages that we offer that I wanted to highlight with some of the food lessons we have within them. So up on the screen, we see Spanish Latin American, our specialty French wine and cheese course, Haitian Creole, Japanese. And the majority of all the languages that we offer here at Mango do have some sort of chapter that focuses in on food, eating, overall dining etiquette, cultural dining insight. But some of those are more robust than others. So for example, in our top languages, you're going to see these chapters a lot more built out than in some of our other world languages that we offer. But overall, some of the common conversational goals that you can find amongst these courses, I have listed up here. Things like identify items on the menu, how to order a meal, understand the customs of local dining, ask for the bill. You're going to gain insight into the food culture of that target language, understand common phrases used at restaurants within that target language. You're going to be able to ask if someone wants to taste a dish and give compliments on food, just to name a few. All right, so now that I have touched on the cultural aspects of food and dining, as someone might explore their own native heritage or just in terms of exploring a new language or culture, I'm going to hand it over to Sabrina now, and she's going to talk more about how your patrons can continue to use the resources of the library to further explore travel and how, as a librarian or administrator, you can support your patrons through the Mango Market with this. So over to you, Sabrina.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Malika. So we just heard Cruz and Malika go over some great ideas on how you can easily cross-promote Mango with some of your other databases or resources that you already have in the library. So now I would like to touch on a few ideas for promoting Mango outside of the library, some things that you can do via community outreach. But before we talk about a few specific examples, I would like to first highlight what we call the Mango Market. So hopefully most of you have at least heard of the Mango Market and you're at least somewhat familiar with it. Hopefully some of you have actually already been in the market and taken advantage of some of the materials that are in there. But for those of you who may be unfamiliar, this is where we have all of the promotional materials that we have available for you. So the best way to access the Mango Market is to first log into the Mango admin portal and then click on the Promote tab. So if you don't currently have access to the Mango admin portal, or the MAP as we'll sometimes call it for short, or if you're just unsure of your login information, just reach out to your dedicated account manager and we'll be happy to help. All of our contact information, as well as the specific states we work with, will be posted at the end of the presentation. So on the screen here, you can see just a quick example of what the interface looks like, some of the materials that we do have available for you. So once you're actually in the Mango Market, you'll find a great variety of both digital and physical promotional materials. So that great family tree PDF that Cruz highlighted, as well as the flyer that you can enter both your Mango link and your genealogy link, as well as flyers that highlight things like how to create family profiles to help encourage family learning, or flyers that highlight our mobile app, which we'll talk about in a few moments. Those are just a couple examples of some of the items that you will find here in the market. So we have everything from print materials, things like those flyers, bookmarks. We also have physical materials like pens, t-shirts, or face masks. We also have a ton of really great options that you can use on social media. So there are pre-sized images that you can just download and share to make it as simple as just one click. For the print materials, so you do have the option to either download and print the physical materials in-house for free, or if you'd like to have the items professionally printed and shipped out by us, you can use your annual spending credit to cover that cost. And some of the flyers and bookmarks are actually customizable as well, so that you can go in and include any particular URLs or contact information or anything like that pertaining to your specific library. So as part of your Mango subscription, each year you do get an annual spending credit to go in here and use on these items in the market. So now, knowing that we have these materials available for you, let's jump into it. So one of the easiest ways to promote Mango and kind of cross-promote it with other ideas has to do with travel. So similarly to how Malika mentioned that utilizing the cookbooks that you already physically have in the library to help promote Mango and help your patrons explore their native heritage, or maybe just explore a new language or culture that they're interested in, you can do the same with these travel books. So after a quiet year, people are finally starting to consider traveling again, and Mango is a great tool to have by your side if you are considering traveling to somewhere that speaks a different language. So things like those customizable bookmarks or flyers are great to place in the section near your travel books. So just like Malika recommended, using those bright, colorful books to kind of create a station where people can come and see what's available. It's great to do that with travel books as well. You can tuck bookmarks within the pages or put flyers next to it. We've also had a lot of people have success with partnering with places like travel agencies or places that issue citizenship or passports, passing out these customized print materials, or even taking things like earbuds or water bottles and dropping those off there is another great way to promote the resource there. Regardless of whether your patrons are looking at these travel books because they're actively preparing for a trip or because they're just curious about different destinations around the world, chances are if they've picked up a travel book, there's something drawing them to it. And for a lot of people, being able to speak the native language and also communicate with these locals makes it even more alluring. So similarly to how throughout the lessons, we have sections dedicated to familial relationships and pets, or cooking and eating and ordering out in a restaurant, we do have chapters throughout our lessons that focus on travel and tourism. So it's great for people who are looking to utilize Mango for this. So for example, we can see here that our Spanish Latin American course, chapter 7 kicks off with a travel and tourism lesson that will teach you how to do things like ask to see less commonly known places or more well-known places, or you'll learn some of the grammar concepts of saying things like I am going or I want to go and things like that. So a couple other ways that you can promote Mango outside of the library. Here's a short list of some partnerships that we've seen a lot of success with over the years. So for example, you could use your annual spending credit in the market to purchase tote bags and pass those out at local farmers markets. You can tuck a couple bookmarks or pens or any other thing promoting maybe any of the other resources that you offer and hand them out to people who are looking for tote bags. Partnering with local schools is another great way to promote Mango outside of the library. So many K through 12 schools encourage their students to get library cards. And by promoting Mango as a resource that they can utilize to continue their language learning outside of the classroom is a really great way to get both students and their families inside the library so that they can see all of the resources that you have to offer. Malika touched on this earlier as well. Places like local restaurants or markets or grocery stores that focus on culturally specific cuisines or types of spices or things like that are another really great place to partner with. Community centers are great as well. A lot of community centers have conversation groups for people who are looking to learn both English or some other world languages. And this is a great opportunity to encourage them to incorporate Mango into those conversation groups. Religious institutions are also a really great place to reach out to as well. Religious institutions oftentimes serve as a sanctuary for immigrants who still might be learning to adjust to living in the States and still learning English. So since we're on the topic of Mango on the go, I would also like to highlight our mobile app. So Mango's mobile app is currently free to download on both Android and iOS, and it syncs seamlessly with the desktop version for a smooth and easy user experience. Mango's mobile apps are Bluetooth accessible, so you can sync them to your Bluetooth for a hands-free learning experience. And they're also equipped for offline learning, which allows users to learn uninterrupted no matter where they are. So you can download the lessons to your device while you do have an internet connection. I know a lot of times, sometimes people who don't have internet at home will come to the library to get internet access, so they could download their lessons there and then take Mango and continue learning wherever they are. So this is also really great for patrons who might be preparing for a trip. Maybe they're heading somewhere abroad and they want to learn while they're on the airplane or riding a train, a bus, or any other form of public transportation and want to keep up with their language learning, even if they're somewhere where they don't know if they will have a Wi-Fi connection or not. So we do have a couple minutes left. We will, of course, be sticking around to answer any questions that you all may have. But as your dedicated account managers here at Mango, we always love to chat with you on a one-on-one basis so that way we can get a little bit more in depth about any ideas that you might be thinking about ways that we can implement any of the ideas we've talked about today in your library and your communities. So we're always happy to hear from you guys. So on the slide here, you will find all of our contact information as well as the specific territories that we work with so that you can find your dedicated account manager. So again, we will be around for a couple more minutes. Please let us know if you have any questions, ideas, if there's anything you want to chat about now. But please always feel free to reach out to us at any time if you would like to talk a little bit more. Yeah, let's see. There is a question in the chat. It says that patrons can download specific chapters. Yeah, so when the patron goes in, they can select the specific unit or chapter, the specific lesson that they want to go to. So they could either do all of chapter 1 or they could go in and select just a specific unit in chapter 1 and then go in and choose which specific lesson that they want to. But yeah, that's a great question. And so the lessons, they do stay on the device, I believe, for up to 21 days, but they can go in and change, like undownload any lessons at any point. So if they do download the entire chapter and then they find they're only using a couple lessons, for example, they could go back and undownload any of the lessons that they don't want to clear up extra space on their device. So with that, that pretty much brings us to the end of today's webinar.
And we really appreciate you guys joining us today. Again, never hesitate to reach out to your individual account manager. We love connecting with you guys and helping in any way that we can.
Thank you all so much for joining us. We hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
And ciao.
Bye.
Libraries are the backbone of their community, supporting and empowering ambitions far beyond their doors. As we grow ever more diverse, so does the need to connect in another language. Fulfill your patrons' thirst for knowledge with a digital resource available anytime, anywhere. Because when language is an adventure, how far will they go? Mango Languages for your library